to reach his paddling prominence as a member of Canada's national team as well. That is Don Brien, the athlete and the man, ladies and gentlemen, and he was here in plenty of time tonight, thank goodness. Early, as a matter of fact, and we're pleased to recognize him as the newest athlete inductee into the Nova Scotia Sport Hall of Fame. Our presenters tonight, we'd like to welcome Steve Corkum of Maritime Northeast Pipeline, and to present the pin, we're going to call on a person who is very special in Don's life to come forward. His wife, Robbie, worked and supported Don through all the years he paddled and attended medical school until he completed his residency. No more appropriate person to present the pin than wife, Robbie. All through your bio and all through the clips from Scott and Frank, the word intensity came up probably 10 or 12 times. Where do you think that comes from in your life?
I think it came from my family, my parents probably. I think my parents were quite quiet in the way they acted, in the way they spoke, but in their actions, everything they did it to the best of their ability. And if there was something to do, you did it right, you did it the best you could. And I think in order to achieve that, you had to be focused and you had to be intent on what you're doing.
The amount of training that goes into any sport is huge, but paddling in particular, you're up early in the morning, you're back on the water occasionally late at night. What drove you to keep getting back in that boat and back on the water?
Improving. You always wanted to improve. As Frank mentioned, when I first met Frank, we sat down and he said, "What are your goals?" And my goal is to be the best in the world. And he said, well, it's not that easy. You have to set incremental goals. You have to step towards it. So in order to achieve the next step, you sat down and said, what do we need to do to achieve the next step? It was to improve your strength or to improve your endurance or your speed or your equipment or whatever. So it's a simple, what did it take to achieve the next goal? And I think in order to do that, you simply had to spend the time training.
I told you in the room across the hall there that your brother Alvin was a phys ed teacher at my school, John Martin Junior High. He was a student teacher, and I remember all of the guys getting together and crying in 1982 because we loved him. He had the big arms, and we all were fascinated by his biceps and his strength. We talked about it a bit in the bio, but what did his sort of light shining out there mean to you?
Well, I was never accused of having big arms. So
he did, though, didn't he?
He certainly did. And again, that's probably one of the driving forces. That was probably one of the driving forces was that when we were training, and with my brother Colin as well, we trained a lot together. And but it was, I guess we were a team. We raced together. We raced against each other. But I can remember coming fourth in a race and Alvin was first or second. I can remember looking at him and said, go, go. So, if he had success, I felt I had success, and same with my brother Colin. We trained together, we worked together. I didn't feel we were competing against each other because if one of us achieved success, I think we could attribute it to all of ourselves because we did train together. And he was stronger. He was 2 or 3 years older than I was, so he was more experienced. But he was stronger. I think he was more dedicated. He may have been more determined than I was. He was more intense than I was. So I could look at him and say, well, if I want to go to the next level, then I have to be like him, to become more intense, to become more driven, to become more determined.
Right. What a great family, and thank you so much for tonight. Congratulations, Don Brien, ladies and gentlemen.